Ask Reddit. Sex workers of Reddit, who was the grossest customer you had?
My ex-GF, when she was a stripper, told me a story of a rich obese guy she compared to fat bastard from Austin Powers. He offered her $2,000 for a blowjob. She accepted and did it. She said he was so fat that his dick was so buried in his fat that she bossy called could only wrap her lips around the head and lick the tip while she held his gut up with her head and hands. She mentioned his coon was chunky and tasted like tuna and vinegar. Life is weird and the experiences we encounter. His cum was chunky and tasted like tuna and vinegar. Actually gagged at this. Fuck. I feel queasy. So I was a male stripper predominantly for bachelorette parties, but about 3 times a month I'd work the actual club to make ends meet. I was 18 and finishing up high school. One night I'm there and the manager says there's a guy willing to pay $2K for 2 hours with me. It's a straight club, but half the dancers are gay and eat that stuff up, plus with a no touching rule, it's whatever. His only stipulation was that we not turn the lights on. He didn't want to be seen. This was the early 2000s, and closet cases were more reserved then. That said, I go in to dance. I dance for about 20 minutes and he says something that makes my skin crawl. Tell me you're only 15. I was disgusted, but this was money I needed. I'm not proud, but I said it though I couldn't get over the familiarity in his voice. He continued on with stuff like that, having me say I was 15 over and over, having me say I was running late for English class, etc. He just wanted me to pretend I was a little younger than I was. Then he said it, call me Coach Bellum. Coach Bellum was my 9th grade football coach and a fervent creep who wandered into the boys and girls showers during use a few too many times, and got fired the year after I had him as a coach. I went to beeline for the door as soon as he said it. There's no way he didn't recognize me after all. He picked me because he knew 14 to 15-year-old me. When I clearly got up to move, he grabbed me around my waist and just licked my stomach and said, I can give you all the money you need. Let me have this. I broke his nose, got out, and got the bouncers in there. To my knowledge, he was the first and only person we ever banned from returning there. Apparently we didn't need to though, as he got jailed just a couple months later for molestation of a family member. He was grimy. I had a guy that just wanted me to spit full globs of phlegm in his mouth while laid on his back with his mouth wide open. I'm rarely grossed out, but I just can't deal with copious amounts of spit or phlegm. It took so much effort not to gag throw up just from seeing it slide past his tonsils. On the other end of the spectrum, I had a guy who liked to just lay on the sofa while I sat on him and watched TV. Human furniture fetish is definitely my favorite type of booking. Do the human furniture ones pay well? Do they put out snacks? I need to know more about this. You're thinking about starting a career in the lucrative human furniture business, aren't you?
I got to the man's house, and he wanted me to pour bleach on my titties. I literally just walked right out and never looked back.
So there I am, laundry sauce on my titties. Who the fuck calls laundry sauce detergent?
I'm a dancer at a topless strip club, no removing bottoms allowed. I had this guy coming to see me about once a week. He'd give me 100 to 150 every time he came in, but each time tried to push the boundaries further and further. Eventually he kept trying to whip his dick out, and I had to tell him no. Next time he came in, while I was turned around shaking my ass in his face, he pulled his dick out, condom already on, grabbed my hips and tried to put me onto his dick. Seriously shitty. Another one of my friends was doing a half hour with a guy, and she flipped over and farted in his face. She was mortified, but he tipped her 20 at the end, so he must have enjoyed it. Literally tonight at work, a girl got fired for prostitution. She was screaming at the manager the whole time, in the middle of the room, all the customers watching her. I only gave him a handjob. I only gave him a handjob. It's not like I fucked him. Every single girl that goes back there fucks. Not true. What's the big deal? I was just jacking him off. She's been a dancer for a while. She claimed another girl told her it was okay, and that's why she did it. Bullshit. You know the rules, and you got caught. It happens. I've seen girls sucking and fucking literally 2 feet from me. I had a girl wave and smile at me as she was jacking a dude off. In full view of the camera lol. I had a customer who liked to wear a bonnet, suck on a pacifier, and wear a diaper under his pants. He liked to call me mommy and be spanked. And he paid well for it. I had a guy that loved the smell of sweaty ass. He would always tell me when he was coming in, always near the end of the night, so I wouldn't go to the dressing room and freshen up as much as I usually would, and he would literally give me 200 just to stand in front of him, ass cheeks apart while he smelled it. I guess the first one was the grossest, the rest of them were just weird. I have so many stories from dancing, lol.
This is the type of stories I come to Reddit for.
I was a cam girl and it was a site where you take a private show, and your client could turn on his webcam if he wants to. I had a guy laid down on his floor with his ass back propped up against the side of his bed, so that he would be essentially upside down. All he wanted me to do was dirty talk, while I watched him jack off and cum onto his own face. I have two different guys that I'll never forget. The first was one that wanted my feet to be filthy dirty and stinky if possible, then I had to smash one foot in his face and get him off with the other foot. The other guy wouldn't let me turn on any lights at all, and when I got undressed I touched him and found his one ball was the size of a pillow. It freaked me out so bad I told him I started my period and needed to leave pronto. There's many more, but these two guys always stand out.
Hold up. What do you mean the size of a pillow? Here's a visual for you.
Was a stripper. The ones who tell you that you look like their daughter's friend act are pretty gross. Foot fetish dudes would come in at the end of the night, and the sweatier your feet were the better. Most girls love them though because they give amazing foot rubs and pay you for it. Had a guy come in and lay on the floor and pay me to try to fart on his face. He was dressed like Carlton on Boobin St. Honestly, a lot of girls like ones like this too. They pair really well and you don't have to really do any work. Edit. Thanks for the silver.
Can you fart on command?
I tried for 2 songs lol. I couldn't. Phone worker here. I had a guy, wanted me to put bodily excretions, roleplay on him. I was so stumped. So I said if you've been a bad boy I'll piss on your face, if you've been a good boy I'll shit in your mouth. Cue the minute long groaning, grunting and screaming the guy did with what I could only assume was the filthiest, never-ending tsunami of spunk, followed with a thank you mistress. I logged off for the day, and did other things. I have no problem with kinks or fetishes, but he acted like he won the lottery.
Considering how many people don't want to do that type of kink, I guess he kinda did win a lottery.
Dude offered me $500 to adopt a dog and have sex with it. I very firmly declined.
Then you're stuck with a random dog. That $500 won't last long. At least you have a friend.
Not really a sex worker, but I stripped for a bit in college. The amount of older guys saying things to me like tell me your real age or don't worry your little secret is safe with me, while grinning terribly was always gross. I look young so that wasn't very pleasant. It got worse when they would try and blackmail me into actual sexual contact, by saying they'd reveal my actual age. Fortunately I was 19 so could just tell them to go ahead and do it.
Who would they reveal it to? Yes officer, I had a minor stripped for me. Not my story, but I heard it from a friend. You know how girls will spit on your dick to lube it up before blowing you? There was this one customer who told his girl for the night that it was wasteful to spit on his dick, and requested that she spit in his mouth instead. For every time she spit in his mouth, he would give her $10.
I once had a threesome with a couple who was really into spitting. They both took turns spitting in my mouth. They also really enjoyed putting their feet in my face, and making me lick them. Go figure. Not a sex worker by the way, I'm just slutty.
I would vomit like at least 3 times. Get your feet the fuck away from my mouth yesterday.
So, former cam girl here, I would have assumed this guy was trolling, but he just seemed so earnest and had already tipped me like $600 that night. Suuo, I have a cat, and he wanted me to go get a piece of cat shit from her litter box, fuck it up my ass, and then poop it back out for him. He said he had $3,500 to spend to make it happen. Obviously, I didn't do it, and decided that was enough camming for me that evening, and bid him good night. Still, I think about that guy a lot. That fucking guy. I wonder if he ever got anybody to do it. Edit. Good. Yes. That was a wise $5 you spent on this comment, kind stranger. Edit 2. Lol at half the people responding to this thinking it sounds like a good deal.
Well, I'm no sex worker, I was actually a computer repairman, and this is actually a true story. An older lady tried to pay me with sex with her retarded daughter. One of my highest upvoted posts, and people are not quite understanding the part where I said, no, I didn't have sex with the girl. I demanded my money and left.